Hello everyone, in this video we are going to talk about how to organize a React Native app. Your Figma design, especially at the screen flow, helps guide your structure like navigation and folders, but it's not just about the UI. You also need to think about your data, your logic, and how your app will grow over time. So I'll show you a simple and I think it is clean structure that it is easy to scale and understand. So enough of me talking, let's take a look how we are gonna build this. Okay, the first thing that we need to do is create a project, right? In this case, I will be using Bond and I will be using Expo to create our React Native app, right? So let's call it that name. Let's just wait. Okay, it looks like everything went okay. So let's now cd to this folder. And now that we are in there, let's open this in VS Code and we are gonna test our app, right? Let's take a look at our app. Let's see how everything went. Okay, so Bond X export star to make sure everything it's working properly. Okay, let's open it on the let's start that. Excellent, perfect. It looks like everything went okay. So now that we know our project is running just fine, we need to reset the project, right? Just to clean this structure. And Expo made that easy for us. So they give us a script that we need to run. So we are gonna run that, run reset project. And then do you want to move existing files to app instead of deleting? No, I don't want to move them. I want them to be deleted. Okay, nice. Now that we have that, we have, as you can see, we have a clean structure and we are going to start working on our project architecture. Okay, before we do any work on the architecture, let's start a few things that will help us to persist the authentication since we are not using any backend, right? So let's start Redux persist and async storage, right? So let's start that. Okay, perfect. It looks like everything went okay. So now let's start with the architecture. There is a few things that we will need. Let me make this a little bit and let me move this so we can have it on the side here. And let me move this a little bit here. Okay, excellent. So now let's close this and let's start working on the architecture. The first thing that I would like to do is create a folder here. And let's take a look at this, right? The app in this case is the navigation, right? It's the file-based navigation by Expo, right? So here I'm gonna name this folder like auth, and here we are going to include everything related to that, right? Login, register, etc., right? And then we are gonna have the protected, right? The protected folder. And in here, it's of course when the user login or register, we are going to have access to this route. And so let me delete this. We won't need this because our entry point will be the auth, right? So let's remove this and then let's create a couple files. The first one will be the index, and then the second will be the register. And we will need the layout here. And so in the layout, we will actually, let me copy this so we don't lose too much time. We need a stack there. And basically this stack is for the for these two files, right? We need to include this and we can actually add animation for those files, depends on your project requirements, but use that. And I will copy the same for the login, so I don't want to lose too much time working on this. And so let's add that there. And I see a couple errors here, and that's because there are other components that we need for the login. So let's create them, and here is what we need, right? I would like to create another folder here, and I'm gonna call it as RC, and in here we need another folder here, and we are going to call feature, and we need another folder we will be for the components, or let's call it, well, sometimes it's called share. That means that everything that is in here, all the components that you include here will be used across all the screen in the app, right? So let's create another folder in here, and we're gonna call it component. And then we can have another folder here, call it utils, just as an example, right? And this utils is about the same concept, right? Or everything that is in the utils in here will be used across all the screen, right? So in the feature folder, we are going to create a few folders too. So one will be the auth, and the auth will be everything related to the authentication, right? So let's create another folder here, and this will be home, right? Same concept, right? We are gonna have everything related to home here, right? So, and we're gonna do an example here so you can actually see how that will work. And then we can have another for profile, just to give you an example. And if you want to, you can include the index here so the imports are more easier. At the end of the day, it will depend how you want to structure your project and how and take a look at the requirements, right? So now that we have all of these, let's work on the store, or and the store basically it's your Redux, right? And in there we are going to have also globally you can include the custom hook, and this basically the same concept. Now we need the store. Let's work on that because we need that for the logins. And in the store, I like to create a folder called store.ts, and then within this I like to create a folder which will be a feature. And then here is the same concept, right? Let's say for now we have the auth feature. You can create folder for this example. I'm just gonna create this file because it's just an example, and let me rename this. It's just ts, and then now within that folder I'm just gonna copy this so we don't lose too much time doing this, and I'm gonna explain a little bit what we do here. It's something simple, right? If we are gonna have this type there that it's basically telling us if the user is authenticated, since we don't have any backend. So we just, when the user login, we're gonna set it to true. When the user register, we are gonna set it to true, and on logout we are gonna set this variable to false, right? It's something very simple. And then let's go to the store and let's copy this as well. So the idea here is not talking about code, guys. The idea here is understand the architecture, right? The folder structure. And so now let's okay, excellent. And now we need to actually set up this stack. Here we are gonna set up the authentication, right? So now we need a few things here. Let me modify this, and let me actually, I think I can import this already. So yeah, it's from the store, so we don't have the errors there. Same thing here, features, and then try. We don't have this component yet. We are going to work on that. We don't have this registered yet. Let's continue. We have our store already. We have let's add that to our main layout, right? And there we need a few things. So now the first thing that we need is create a variable here, and we're going to call it it's authenticated, right? And so we don't need that. It's authenticated, and we're going to use selector to access our store. And use selector, yes, that's right. And then we need to import this, right, from Redux, and we need to import this from our store as well. So we save that, and now we're good. Here we need to change this a little bit. The first thing that I will do is create a component, right? So outside the root layout. So, and the way I will do this is cons, and this will be our main navigation, right? Navigation, and then it will be just like this, and then just a regular component, right? And actually we need to move this to this component, and then in here we need to actually include our stack in here, right? So, and we're gonna call our navigation in here actually. Yes. And now in here we need to return, right? And then in here we will have our screen, and we don't want to show the headers on those screens, so let's do that. And let's close this tag, and then let's actually protect our screens, right? So the first thing that we are going to do is create a stack, and then screen, and then we are gonna guard that, right? Like this. If it is authenticated, we are gonna access to the protected row. Excellent. And now here, sorry, no, it is not a screen here, it is protected. And then we don't need this name here. Actually, we need an open and close tag here. And then in here, we actually need that stack screen, right? And in this case, we don't need all of this. It will be just a self-closing tag, and it is protected here. All right, and that will give us access to the protected screen, right, over here. So, and then we need something similar for when when the user is not authenticated, right? And we just access to the auth screen, and basically that's how that will work. So now we have a shared component here that we are having an error, and we are going to create that, right? So let's go to the, let's say the button will be used across all the screen, right? So we are going to create that in the shared, and then we are going to actually create a component there, right? And you can actually name it, you can actually create a folder if you want, or you can actually just create a component, right? I think in my case I will create a folder, and then I'm gonna call it main button, and then yeah, I think I'm gonna name it just like that. And then you can create an index here too if you want to make the import easier. It's up to you. Index.ts, and then we are going to create a main button, right? And once again, I'm just gonna copy this because the main idea of this video is not to explain the code guide, it's to explain the architecture, right? And let me create this component, and then let me copy that, and then, and so let's export this so we can use it. So I'm gonna create this export. I'm gonna use default as main button, right? And main button just like that. And there is something wrong. Oh, let me fix this. Oh, I think it's the problem is the export. Let me see. Yeah, that fixed that. It's good. So let me close that. Let me close that. We don't need that. Now we need to actually import that from components, right? And components. And now the error is gone. And now we need to fix this. What is the problem with this? And then we have a navigation problem here. Oh, I see what's the problem. Sorry. I forgot to actually, in our main layout, we need more stuff here, or no more stuff, but we need a little work here. So let's do, let's create this like this. Let's remove that, and let's actually add the provider and the store, right? Just like that. And then we need to import that, and then we need to close these two, and then in this we need to include our navigation, right? So just like that, and we need to close this, and now it's Yes, we need to, why is doing this? Okay, and we need this, we need to this. Okay, perfect. And so we need a persister, right? So let's create that pair sister gate. Yes, we need that, and we are going to, yes, we need to actually close this, and then we need to include our navigation within these two tags, right? And that should do it. And what's wrong with this? We need to actually import this from the roots stay and here. Okay. Yes, excellent. So now everything is, it's okay. And now let's refresh this and see what's happening here. Okay, okay, good, excellent. It looks like something is wrong here. Let's take a look at the navigation. Oh, I don't have the registration. That's why it's giving us the problem. Let's copy the registration as well. So, and then there, excellent. Now it should work. And we shouldn't be getting this warning here. So let me rerun this. Let me close the app and let me actually reopen the app. There's more problems in the navigation. Let's take a look at what the problems are. I think the problem is because this needs to be just a regular function, I believe. Let me try something before we continue. And this is just a regular function, and it will be export default register. And then let me try the same thing here. Let me remove this. And yeah, same thing here. And we shouldn't see that, I guess. Let me refresh this. I don't like this warning, so let me close and run the project. Okay, let me close this and let me actually rerun the project. We are seeing this warning here because we haven't actually worked on this, right? We don't have anything. So let's start working on the protected route, right? So in here, we are gonna need a couple of folders. So the first one will be the model. And then we will need the tabs. And let's add that. Let's add this. And then also we will need a stack, right? And I want to explain a little bit about the stack later, but let's just add that. And also within this folder, we will need a layout, right? So in this case, I'm gonna call it, not call it, but layout, the same thing. Let's call it layout. And then within this layout, let me just copy this for now. And so we need the tab, the stack, and the model, right? So let's start working with the model. So the first thing that we are gonna need here, it's a layout as well. So new folder, the TSX, and I'm just gonna copy the layout as well. So we move fast here, and so in here I'm just gonna create a folder, and I'm gonna call it help. And within this folder, we need an index and a layout. Actually, we don't need a layout there, so let's just add the index there. For now, it's gonna be only one file here, index.txt, and then let's actually copy this, right? So let's copy what we need here, and so we need the help models now, and then as you can see in here, it is showing, or we are giving the option to present the screen as a model. Let's continue, and then we have the stack, right? We are gonna create a couple screen for the stack, and this stack will belong to the tabs, right? Create the tabs first, so we understand that this stack belongs to the tabs. So let's first create the home, and then let's create the profile. It's only we are gonna use only two tab for the tabs, and so in here we will need a layout as well, right? So let's add the layout here, and then yes, we need the layout. I'm just gonna copy that as well, and then let me copy that, And then on the home screen, let's create the profile and then the home screen, right? So let's go to here. We need an index.txx, and then here again another layout .tsx, and then let me just copy the layout as well, and then we will have the profile screen, right? And then we need to actually this is for the stack, and then this is for authentication, right? Let me actually import this. Now the problem now is the navigation, right? Because we don't have this screen yet. I'll create that in a little bit. And so let me create the home screen, and the same thing here, right? So we need an index and then also a layout as well, right? And then I'm going to copy the layout as well, and then the home screen as well, right? And we need this screen. We don't have this yet, but we will have it in a little bit. And so let's create a stack, right? So let's actually create our stack. And so in our stack, we are gonna create well, let's create first the layout file. And in the layout file, tsx, we are gonna create the, let me copy what we need here. I'm gonna have two files that belongs to that profile, right? So as you can see here, this is our stack, and we are gonna create a folder inside here. Let me save this and actually create those two. Actually create a folder, and I'm gonna call it profile. And this is what I was talking about, right? The tabs, and I'll show you later why, but for now let's think this way, right? We have two screens here, two tabs, and within these two tabs, this stack profile belongs to the profile tab, right? And so let's continue, and then in here I'm just gonna create account setting, just to give you an example, and then I'm just gonna copy that too, or not setting but account center, and then we are going to have a setting screen, right? .txx, and now let me copy this too, and we don't have that. I got it. And then we also need, we'll copy that, and we don't have that yet, right? I got that. But the important point here to understand, and you will understand this in a little bit, because I will give you an example. Like we have the tabs down here, and this stack profile belongs to this tab, right? And so let's create this, let's start creating this so we don't have so many errors right now. So now let's go to the src, and let's start by fixing this problem here, right? So we need the home screen, and so this is how I will architecture this. We have the features here, and this folder belongs to the home, right? Everything related to the home will be in this folder, right? So the first thing that I will do is first create components, and then I will create another folder, and I will call it screens, right? And within this screen we are gonna have this one, right? So let's actually copy that, and let me copy that, and let me create a file here, and I'm just gonna call it home screen, right? No capital O, but home screen. the tsx, and let me copy this. And here we have another problem, right? And this is one thing that I wanted to show you. This is just a DOM component, but it's good for an example, right? Like, let's say this component just belongs to the home, so we are gonna include it in this folder, right? So let's create that, so we don't have that error. I'm just gonna name it. It's how I name that, header header home, right? And then you can have actually more folders here, right? Like, for example, you can actually have another folder here for hooks, right? I'm just giving you an example, and you know these hooks belongs to the home screen only, right? And you have your global hooks that you can use anywhere in your application, right? But let's keep working on this, and then let's create another file. You can create an index here just to do an export. It's up to you. I'd like to create them, and then I'm just gonna copy also the header here. Let me create a file, header home.tsx, and boom, and then boom, let me export that. Boom, we have that. We don't have that error anymore, and we have the component here, right? So, and now let's close this. We don't need it. We don't need this too, and we don't need that. And then we have this, right? We need to actually export this, right? Let me export it here, right? Export, I will export here everything from home screen. Okay, perfect. And now here we shouldn't something. Let me remove that and just import this. Okay, perfect. Now we get rid of that error. And so we need to create those. Now there is no problem, there is no bug there, and now there is no, we need to create this as well. So let's work on those. And so we need the profile, and I'll show you here. And so actually you can create here components, and then in this component you can use these components just for the profile, right? And then we have another one which is for the screens, and here is where we need to create this one, right? Actually we need 2 screens. So the first one, I will create just a file. You can create folder if you want to, but in this case I'm just gonna create files. I'm gonna account center screen, and then tsx, and the same thing. I'm just gonna copy this really fast, and then we need the main header. We are gonna work on that in a little bit. And let me actually create the other file, which it will be setting screen .tsx, and then in this setting screen I'm just gonna copy this one too, and we need the main header as well there too, right? And so where is this main header? It's a DOM component too, but it's good for an example. And that main header, the main header will be in this component, right? Which means this component will be used in any screen, right? So let's create this, and I'm going to name it main header, okay? And then let's create a file here, main header.tsx, and then let's copy the code for that one too, right? So let me copy that. So remember, this is not a coding video, it's just to show you how to structure a project, right? And now that we have that, let's fix this here. No, actually we need to include that here, right? So the same thing here, but instead of that we're going to use main header. Excellent. So now we can actually, the error is gone, and we need to import this here. Let me see. Let me remove this and see if I can. Yeah. So that's more easier approach. Let me remove that. Excellent. So now we have all of that, right? And so let's take a look if we can log in. If not, we are going to debug. I copy a lot of code, and actually I think I need to refresh the project, because sometimes when you work with the navigation and you do a lot of changes here, you actually have to restart uh, restart the project and clean the cache, right? So let's see if this is working. If everything is working, this is our entry, the auth, and then if we are able to log in, we will see the protected row, right, with the tabs and everything. And so let's see. I don't see any problems right now. Let's see if that works, right? As you can see, you can change, and this is, you see how we have animation there, and that comes from here, right? And so let's log in and see if everything, excellent, everything looks like it is working, right? So as you can see here, we have this header that belongs only to the home screen, right? And remember, we create that here, and we have the model, right? We haven't added any styles there, but then we have the model there. You can use this model anywhere, right? Like for example, let's go to the profile and go to the settings, and as you can see, you need help, and that's the model, right? That's why I create the model here in the root of the protected routes, right? And so you can go to the account center, and this is the stack, right? As you can see, it's this one right here. That stack belongs to the if we go to the profile, right, that stack belongs to the profile, and that profile has two more screen, right, which is the account center and the setting, right? We are here, this is the profile, which is this tab, and then if we go to setting, that's this screen, and if we go account center, this is this screen, right? At the end of the day, it depends how the Figma looks, how your screen flow is, but I'm just giving you an idea, right? And as you can see, when you go to the screen, the tab disappear, right? But let's imagine your application, you have to keep your the bottom tab there. So one thing that you could do is create another screen here, right? Let's say for the profile, let's create I don't know, I'm just gonna call it like edit, for example, just to give you an example. And then here you can actually create I'm just gonna copy this so we don't actually lose too much. No, actually, yeah, let me do this really fast. So we have the edit, but this has to be this way. And now that you have the edit, of course, you have to add this to the layout here, and you have to add another stack here, and you call it edit, and then you can actually go from this screen to edit, right? So let me see. I hope I don't have to edit profile, edit. Let's see if this is working. As you can see, it is working, right? And now, as you can see, you have the tabs, right? At the end of the day, it will depend how how the design looks like, right? And if we go back, as you can see, you can go to settings and the tab is gone. At the end of the day, like I say, it depends how what are the requirements for the project, and also how the flow in Figma looks like, right? But this is just an example. I'm just gonna delete it. I just wanna to show you that's why we had this stack here, right? Because if you include more screen here, you actually will see the tabs, right? And so if you want the screens to be without this tab at the bottom, so you have to create a separate stack outside the tabs folder, right? So let's delete this and leave it as it was before. and actually we need to remove that from here. Beautiful. And we need to remove this as well. We don't need this anymore. Beautiful. And now everything was like before. And that's it, guys. This is just an option of how you can structure your project. There is no wrong and right here. At the end of the day, it will depend what the requirements are and how the Figma design looks like, right? But this is, I feel like this is a good option for a large project. Let me know if what do you think, or if you know a better structure, cleaner. And thank you for watching. See you in the next one.